Hello, BookTube. We have a nice summer afternoon mail haul to go through together here. So just a bunch of packages, ends with a box. So we'll see what kinds of stuff we can find here. See if anything is spill worthy. Let's start with this skinny one here. What could this be? What is this? Oh, it's a slim volume of poetry. This is by Charles Simic, and it is Come Closer and Listen, a new collection of poems by the Pulitzer Prize-winning U.S. Poet Laureate. Okay, so this comes out, this is a finished copy, so it must be soon, yeah. This comes out in July, right at the beginning of July, so this might be in your bookstore now. I'm pretty sure that poetry collections don't have strict on sale dates. Let's see, let's keep going. Oh no, oh my god. All right, it's another slim volume of poetry. This one by James Tate, who's also our Pulitzer Prize-winning poet. So we're starting off heavy on the hardware here. He has a blurb from Charles Simic. So, okay, this also comes out at the exact same day. So these are two finished copies on the same day. This is The Government Lake by James Tate. Kind of like that cover. Actually, I kind of like both of these covers. I will read both of these today. I don't think I got advanced copies of either one of these things. And they're by old hands, so we shall see. Let's do this next. This next one's a slim volume of poetry. I don't know what I'm going to do. It can't be all poetry on this channel. There isn't actually a BookTube channel for all poetry, is there? Is there a BookTube channel that's all poetry? You know, it's high time that we started swapping links, that we started swapping, telling each other all about the BookTube channels that are out there. It's high time we did that. There's so many BookTube channels now, hundreds more every week, that no one, even I, who watch nothing but BookTube, even I can't see them all. It's high time we did that. So what is it? Oh, okay, no, all right. It's not a slim volume of poetry. So this is also not a July book, thank God. This comes out in November. This is by Roger Crowley, and it is called The Accursed Tower: The Fall of Acre and the End of the Crusades. There's the pitched battle at the end there. The 1291 siege of Acre was the Alamo of the Christian Crusades, the final bloody battle for the Holy Land. After the desperate siege of 6 weeks, the last Christian stronghold in the Holy Land fell to the Mamluk army on May 18th, 1291, marking the end of 200 years of Christian-Muslim warfare in one decisive encounter, effectively ending Christendom's 200-year adventure in the realm they called the Outremer. The aftershock would last for hundreds of years. Calls for a resurrected crusade would rumble on almost into the 17th century, but the dream of a Christian Jerusalem died with Acre's fall. Wow, okay, so this is all about that. This is all about that siege and maybe a little bit about its after effects. Great. Okay, fantastic. All right, this comes out in November. The Crusades have never been a period in history that really did it for me, but a sequence of really top-notch crusade books in the last 10 years are slowly winning me over. They're slowly bringing me around, partly because of the exact process that I always recommend to you, partly because they are de-strangifying the crusades for me. I am becoming much more familiar with them, and that helps to engage interest. So let's see. This next one is also a finished copy of something. What have we got here? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Oh, how interesting. This is just a naked hardcover. That's a good choice. That is a really good choice. I wish more publishers would do that. Dust jackets are mostly not decorative anymore. Why not just print the book? They don't protect the book either. But this is a July book. This is let's see here, by John Lynn, and it is Another Kind of War: The History and Nature of Terrorism, which we saw on this channel in advance. This is, in the years since 9/11, there has been a massive surge in interest in the study of terrorism. In this book, distinguished military historian John Lynn applies a lifetime of research and teaching expertise to this topic. The result is a book that provides critical historical context as well as essential guidance for governments, journalists, and all citizens about the best ways to react and respond to the threat of terrorism. Now, I've had the advanced copy. Is exactly the kind of thing I like to read, and I've had the advanced copy on my shelf, and I haven't got to it. So this is another example of a finished copy just sort of kicking me in the behind. I will get to this right away. Then we've got this next one here. Let's see. Next big floppy thing. Oh, oh, very good. Okay, this is a double. We've seen this already, but I will take it, absolutely. This is a companion to a new exhibit at the British Museum about manga. All about manga and all of the history of it, all the infinite variety of it. I have already gone through this book, but not in any kind of detail, not the way I should. This comes out in late August, and I really need to just go over it again, just go through it again. And one other thing that I need to stress, I stressed it last time, those of you who are in the UK, you need to go to this exhibit and write it up for me. Those of you who are in the UK who are near this exhibit, it's at the British Museum, so those of you who are in London, quite a few are young, you are in London, and quite a few of the people who already match those categories also match a third category of constantly saying in the back of their mind, you know, I'd love to do that sort of thing. I'd love to write and try my hand at it. Okay, so what you need to do is go to the British Museum, take in this exhibit, and write about it for me. Take notes while you're walking through it, where things are, what people are looking at, what the rooms are like, what the light is like, and the pieces themselves. And then you take your notes from all of that, because you're not going to go back. You come home, you research the background of the stuff you took notes on, make sure to make a note of artists, time periods, that sort of thing. But you want to give, in a review of an art exhibit, you want to give the reader not only a sense of what's at the exhibit, but a sense of what it was like to be at the exhibit. It's a special kind of review. I will happily walk you through it. It's not tremendously hard to do. It's just a knack you have to get. And if you write a review of this exhibit at the British Museum that is runnable, I will run it for a large audience, for Open Letters Review. It's a large enough audience, and you'll be in mighty good company. Our masthead is pretty good. That's part one. Part two is I will send you the book. So, so if you match those categories, if you're in London and you're near the British Museum and you like manga and you want to write, then that's what you should do. Okay, so that's all the manila envelopes. Now we'll move on to the now that I've browbeaten you, we'll move on to the cardboard. Oh goodness, what is this? Melville House, they're so good. They're always so thought-provoking. This is due in October, and it is The Consequential Frontier, Challenging the Privatization of Space by Peter Ward. Look at that cover. Good Lord. Talk about successful cover design. Wow, that's a billboard in space. Okay. Ward's reporting takes readers one step further than other books in the new space race, introducing us to the scientists, entrepreneurs, and astronauts working beyond the financial heavyweights dominating the news cycle. Ward is an experienced business and tech journalist who has covered the energy sector for outlets like Bloomberg and Newsweek. And in this book, he writes a book that paints a fascinating and intricate portrait of what our current interests in space look like, no longer controlled by outdated international treaties, but by creative billionaires and ambitious private sector workers frustrated by the bureaucracy of NASA and other government-funded endeavors. Their goal? To put more people in space and make it profitable. But how close are we to shuttling civilians to space? There's one particular civilian in America that I would love to see get shuttled into space. I can even give you his address. It's on Pennsylvania Avenue. And who gets a seat on that rocket? I'd be okay if you strapped him on the hood. For American companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin, to the handful of new international for-profit companies, the Consequential Frontier questions the true incentives behind some of society's richest billionaires in their ultimate goal to launch into space. Oh boy. Okay. All right. The privatization of space, its pros and cons. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see what this next one is. Okay. All right. This is by Gene Edward Smith. It's a slim thing. I read it, and it didn't do much for me, so I'm going to reread it. And this is a July book, I'm sure. I'll read it. Yeah, this is due in late July. I'll read it again and see if it does more for me. Because, of course, this author is really good. So the book should have done more for me than it seemed to me like it was a dashed-off left-hand exercise by a great historian. It's by Gene Edward Smith. Its original title was The Liberation of Paris. And it was all about, even though it's tiny, it was all about the generalship and the leadership decisions of the Allies to take Paris back from the Nazis. Its new title is Review Copy Not for Resale, which I gotta say doesn't really convey the subject matter at all. But I have to assume that that's the title because it's by far the most prominent thing on the book and it cannot be removed. And I don't know why you would put that there. Otherwise, surely you're putting that there because that is the product of some late-breaking editorial decision that renamed this book Review Copy Not for Resale. The only other possible explanation for why you would put a sticker like that on the book is to browbeat and castigate your book reviewers, who aren't your employees and who would be doing you a favor by reviewing this book. And it shouldn't matter to you one way or another what they do with the copy once they're done doing you a favor. And it can't be that, because nobody could be that crass or boorish. So it's got to be that they just decided to retitle the thing. Kind of strange, but I myself think The Liberation of Paris was a better title. It was certainly closer to what the book is about. But anyway, Review Copy Not for Resale will be in bookstores at the end of the month, and I will give it another try and see. I wouldn't doubt that there's depth to it that I missed, because this is an author who never disappoints. So, if you read a book by an author who never disappoints, and it disappoints, you got to suspect yourself. At least a little. You have to suspect yourself. So I'll gladly go back to it. Although I think I will use the appearance of the finished hardcover as a kick in the pants, but I think I will reread my advance copy with its original title instead. So now we're doing the box, and the box is huge, so it could be a big finished copy of something. And it's also, I noticed on the front, it's from W.W. Norton, who's one of my favorite publishers. Okay. All right. Okay, this comes out in early July. This is a Beethoven biography. Oh my. The Relentless Revolutionary by John Clubb. Oh my. I don't think I got an advanced copy of this. The image of Beethoven, the intense stare under an untamed tangle of hair, is cultural shorthand for the lone romantic genius. In his new biography, Professor Emeritus John Clubb provides a contemporary portrait of the maestro, placing Beethoven in the context with the intellectual, cultural, and revolutionary impulses of his time. Beethoven, like most of Europe's intellectuals, was rocked by the French Revolution and subsequent rise of Napoleon. This radical influence, bound with the Enlightenment ideals that Beethoven imbibed in his hometown Bonn's cafes and taverns, together shaped his vision of the role of the artist in society. While his need to support himself after his move from Bonn to Vienna made him aware of the current musical trends, he would often break them, especially in his mature work, to compose music that went beyond many of Viennese audiences' understandings. And boy, oh boy, if you listen to Beethoven in chronological order, you can see that happening. Boy, oh boy, can you ever. Where he goes from doing what he knew would sell to doing to conveying the music that was inside his head, regardless of whether or not the musical world had ever heard anything like it before. Have to wonder. I always have to wonder when I read a Beethoven biography if some of his daring in that regard was not encouraged by the fact that he himself could no longer hear the results of what he was doing. I have to wonder about that. You'll never know. The author investigates the effect of navigating the politics of the authoritarian Habsburg Empire on Beethoven and how Beethoven hid his radicalism in his music. The result is a portrait of Beethoven who was intensely engaged politically and culturally in the world around him, helping to illuminate the relationship of Beethoven's work with other artists such as Goethe, Schiller, and Byron. Oh man, okay. All right, and who is John Clubb when he's at home? He holds 3 degrees from Columbia University, and he taught chiefly at Duke and the University of Kentucky. He's written books on 19th century history and numerous essays, primarily on Byron, Beethoven, and Napoleon. In Santa Fe, New Mexico, where he now lives, he has given pre-concert lectures for the Santa Fe Pro Musica and the Santa Fe Symphony. Oh boy. Okay. I don't know. I don't think I got an advance copy of this. This is fairly new to me, and this is Fate Knocks on the Door, because this and a couple of other books, the Emperor Charles book, these are the first pitter patters. This and the Sontag book, the George Marshall book, these are the first pitter patters of the tsunami of biographies that will strike us soon. It'll feel like soon. We have the summer to go through. But by the time August is winding down, these things are going to be far more common in our mail halls. Not that I'm going to complain at all. But a big Beethoven biography, and it's right around the corner, too. So I have the pleasant excuse of needing to get to this right away. How wonderful. Okay, well, that wasn't a bad mail haul at all. And once again, it's sprawled all over creation. I guess you've come to expect that. So we have Manga and an open invitation. One of you, at least, is in London and is the person that I need to do this. I'm not going to bloody well go to London myself. If you're in London or you're within striking distance of London, you want to get on a train and go to this exhibit, I will send you this book. In fact, if your review is really good, I might reimburse you for your ticket. That's the things I do. Then we have a new biography of Beethoven. Fantastic. Didn't see it coming. We have another kind of war. A military historian studies terrorism. It sounds like a prescriptive element involved. Like he's not just going to study it, he's going to help you to study it. Then the consequential frontier, about the privatization of space. The accursed tower, about the final fall of Christian Jerusalem. We have two contemporary poetry volumes. Come Closer and Listen, and The Government Lake, by two poets whose names I know. So that's interesting right there. And review copy not for resale, by a great biographer about the liberation of Paris. So not a bad mail haul, not bad at all. Very good. All right, so I'm gonna clean up this mess, but I will be back. Thank you, Book 2.